What do I mean? The coming of the Holy Spirit. Well, this is a bit more complicated. I'll sit on this bench. Now, for a long time, and in the depths of like unhappiness and that, is I would feel loneliness. So what that is to do is to kind of project an other, so it's kind of still in the separation mode. Loneliness is to project another, believe that salvation or happiness lies in that other, and to perceive that that other does not exist in our lives at the moment, and therefore we are deficient in our own lives for the sake of the fact that we are not united with this fictitious other. It's a function of the ego. And when I was feeling these deep pangs of loneliness, which I feel in my heart, I'd also feel them right in the palm of my hand, like a sensation, like I was sort of being pricked with a pin or something in the palm of my hand, and I would feel it, and this feeling was associated with generating the feeling of loneliness, and then feeling this sensation in my hand. And then this sort of developed over a number of years. I felt lonely for a very long time in my life, well before any sort of spiritual awakening. It's just a factor of my life. I've always lived alone, really. And then this was in both hands. And I've had other experiences during my drug life, if you will, of like personal energy states and in dancing and what have you. But this was a very, a tangible thing. So then during the course then of this crisis, this spiritual awakening that I experienced, is that those feelings became much more animated, and I became aware of a state of being that was associated with this hand sensation, that was actually a sort of quite a bodily sensation, which was to do with this. There was dynamics. My hands started moving around me in a kind of unconscious sense, like doing energy things, and I became aware as well of a state of like a very high pitched, it's not tinnitus but it's a bit like tinnitus, or a bit like when you go in a room when an old television is on and there's a very, very high pitched noise. It's what I would say was the noise of an emission, like very high pitched. And it would be I became aware of this sort of switching of modes between like a physical state in lonely isolation, perceiving this false other and yearning for it, and then feeling this energy. So that being one state of the physical state in yearning, in sort of captivity or what have you, and then this other state of energy, and it's been associated with the palms of my hands, and then with this feeling with this sort of sound, and that became associated with a heightened sort of sense of awareness. So after I'd had the voice of God experience, I sat down and my hands were moving around me. As I was saying, I don't want to give any of this any credit really, but it's an experience that I had and that has integrated into me. And that is that my hands were moving around me, and it stopped here in front of my head like that. I just became aware of it, and the pose was like that. It's like I was waiting for a bird to land on it, and I became just in which part of the cycle that occurred. Like, did I invent the bird, right? Or did I become aware of that was what was going on? Okay, but that's what went on for me. So I was like, oh, it's like I'm waiting for a bird, because these hands are just doing whatever they're doing. And then I perceived this bird fly down, this dove of the Holy Spirit, I will say now. and landed on my finger, and that this dove was like seeking love. It was love. And it was like, you can coddle this dove against, it's just like it just wants to peace. Okay, it just wants to tuck its head and be peace. And I took that bird of peace within myself to my heart, and that so when I was then experiencing like ructions, like anger and those things, I'm like, I'm upsetting the bird. That is my peace. I don't want to wake it up. It is to have it sleeping, is to have it at peace. Okay, but that is installed to my mind the right side of my body, right? So it's like another heart. So I've got my physical heart on one side, and I've got my spiritual heart on the other side. This is the way it feels. And that this is all right brain thing. And that this is like a new operating system. So we've got the physical operating system in pain and separation, and we've got the spiritual operating system in unity and peace. That's what I mean by the coming of the Holy Spirit, is from above, from outside, and take within and unify and become part of us. That's what I mean.